Hey, Pretty Girl Club. So today I want to talk about how the only people who think decentering men is radical are the hypergamy coaches and the femininity coaches online. A lot of the women who teach hypergamy, obviously, hypergamy is all about dating upwardly mobile. And obviously, you guys know that my channel supports whatever you guys want to do as long as you don't make the man the center of your life. But I've noticed that with the rise of women choosing to opt out of dating or take frequent breaks from dating, it has started to threaten some of these women's platforms because how can you profit off of women who are no longer desperate for a man? Because remember, being male centered, in my opinion, being male centered means your life revolves around a man. I mean, when I first came across the whole decentering men content, I actually came across this phrase, decenter men. I came across it from Real Talk with Yanni. She had a video not that long ago kind of talking about it. Then I realized that she had only made that one live stream about it. But have you ever noticed that the people who say that decentering men is extreme or radical, when you ask them, hey, what's so radical about it? They can never explain what's radical. And then they may name something like, oh, well, some people are lesbians. And it's like, okay, so are you saying that being LGBT is radical? Like, do you have a problem with LGBT people? Because once again, point fingers and name names. What is so radical about not making men the center of your life? When I think about my journey of like no longer making men the center of my life, it was about putting myself first. It was about maintaining my career, all of my hobbies. It was about restoring my own femininity because that was something that actually helped me to restore my femininity even more. It was by not making my femininity male centered. And by the way, that's another thing that I've noticed with a lot of femininity coaches or femininity talking points online. Generally speaking, when they're talking about femininity, it's always in relation to a male. It's always in relation to what does a man think of you? Does he think you're sexy enough? Does he think you're pretty enough? Are you wearing enough makeup for him? And notice how on this channel, I go very in depth about the different aspects of femininity. In fact, I kind of create my own definitions and talking points when I'm talking about femininity. But the people who say that decentering men is radical or extreme while simultaneously not giving any examples as to how and why, generally speaking, these are just people who are threatened by the growth of women who are deciding to no longer prioritize men. Another thing that I see people saying is, oh, these women are talking about decentering men, but they're still on dating apps, they're still sleeping with people, they're still doing this. And it's like, why can't two things be true at the same time? There are some women whose decentering men journey looks like maybe they just date and then they have fun and then they go home. There are other women who maybe they won't get married, maybe they'll just have a boyfriend. And then there are some women who will choose not to date at all. Why is it that all of this stuff has to be a monolith? I've noticed that a lot of people online, they don't have any nuance. And so they think that when you use that phrase, decentering men, they'll be like, oh, that means that you're a lesbian. That means that you're promoting being LGBT, which, once again, what's wrong with the LGBT community? Another thing that I heard some content creators say is, oh, even the women who are gay and they're promoting the decentering men talking points, they still broke up. Their relationship didn't work out. And it's like, okay, just because LGBT people break up, that does not mean that I should now revolve my life around men again. That doesn't mean that I should now go back to being male centered. All of these talking points are literally just people who are getting mad because society is shifting. You know, those old people that don't want to keep up with the times, they don't want to learn the new technology, they don't want to get a new phone, they don't want to move on, they want things to stick to the status quo. I've noticed that that is what a lot of people are doing when they're kind of speaking against this whole decentering men talking point. And then I've also heard some people saying, oh, well, don't talk about it, just do it. And it's like, first of all, you don't get to tell me what I can talk about on my channel. Last time I checked, we all have freedom of speech. How are you supposed to help other people to learn how to navigate something if they're not allowed to talk about it? I've noticed that usually the people who make that point, oh, don't talk about it, usually that's just a content creator who is jealous of another content creator talking about the same topic, but like doing a better job at it, or maybe they're kind of thriving in their business. And so then they'll try to make it like, oh, we don't need to talk about this anymore. I've noticed that people are doing that now with the colorism talking point, especially in the case of Chrissy, because she's mad that I exposed the fact that she called this one light-skinned girl a wannabe ghetto Beyonce Barbie. And, I had tons of clips that were showcasing her hatred for women who were of a lighter skin tone or women who were mixed. And have you ever noticed how once you start making good points, a lot of people suddenly want to leave the conversation? And it's like, oh no, you brought it up, so yeah, let's talk about this. How is it radical to not make a man the center of your life? How is that radical? Why is it that women have to be a monolith? We don't all have to be like trad wives or, like revolving all of our free time around pursuing a man or making our relationships the center of our lives. So how is it radical to decenter men? And that question is directly for Chrissy. Please explain to me who's being radicalized or what's radical about decentering men. And please, by all means, point fingers and name names. Because celibacy, is that radical? Because last time I checked, celibacy, there's nothing wrong with that. Why is it that women have to be guilted into sleeping with men that we don't want to sleep with? Like, no. Since when is celibacy radical? Since when is not giving a man sympathy sex radical? Decentering men for me has been about taking back my self-esteem, taking back my time, taking back my energy, and instead of putting it into someone else or, trying to fix a man, trying to build a man up, trying to take a man to the barber shop, give him a full makeover from head to toe, buy him a new suit, and then call it the black wife effect. Oh, you guys thought I wasn't going to call that out. But instead of focusing all of my time doing stuff like that, some of us have chosen to, whether it's celibacy or taking a break from dating or just casually being out there and then getting off an app if you have a bad experience. I don't see anything that is extreme about that. And I've noticed that whenever people are threatened by an idea that is gaining traction, they will say, oh, well, you're radical, you're extreme. And they're saying that because they're trying to convince people not to listen to you, but that's not going to work. I mean, it's the 21st century, so that's not how life works. Another major benefit of not making men the center of your life is it can help you to heal your codependency. We all know that in the Black community especially, codependency is a problem, hence why a lot of people are obsessed with relationship status and getting into a relationship and keeping a relationship and be hypergamous, because a lot of this is based on financial codependency. Oh, she needs to pay 50-50 of the bills. What does she bring to the table? Yeah, it's because these people are poor. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. A lot of people are poor and they are looking for relationships as a way to solve their financial woes. And so to those people, a concept like decentering men, it sounds very radical because they're used to being codependent. They're used to having to spend all of their life chasing after somebody to give them an allowance or, hoping that he can attract a woman to go 50-50 with him and help pay his bills and pay his mortgage off and help pay down his debts. And so when women opt out of that and take back our power and say, hey, you know what? We're going to take a break from dating, or for some of us, we're not going to date whatsoever, or we're not going to get married, we're not going to have kids. Suddenly that threatens that whole system, because if a woman truly decenters men, she no longer prioritizes, oh, I need to go 50-50 and do all this shit and hope that he allows me. I gotta hope that he gives me an allowance. I have to beg for an allowance. I have to bust it wide open and bend it over so that I can hopefully get an allowance. And you know damn well that I talk about statistics on this channel. 87% of men make less than $100,000 per year. So I'm not sure what type of allowance these guys are giving. And I mean, if you're a sex worker, do your thing, that's your job. But in terms of non-transactional relationships, when it comes to allowances, a lot of these talking points are really based on women having to be male-centered. And so what a lot of people forget is that YouTube is an economy. YouTube content is an economy. So whenever one trend on YouTube kind of gains traction, and I don't know if I should call it a trend, but yeah, whenever one trend or a talking point gains traction and it starts to rival another talking point, of course the people from that group don't want it to succeed. So it's like, yeah, of course, if you get paid to be a relationship coach or you are promoting 50-50 relationships, or if you're promoting financial codependency with your romantic partners, of course you don't want women to decenter men, because that threatens your entire coaching business. It threatens all of the books that you've written. It threatens all of the courses that you've had. And so I say all this to say that women should make the best decision for them. And another thing that I've heard when it comes to this channel is, oh, how do you make 4B content and then you also make content about relationships? And it's like, my YouTube channel is like a library, and every YouTube video is kind of like a book. And so books are going to be on different topics. So I'm speaking on all of these different things from my perspective. I'm not necessarily saying that others should do that, because I don't consider this to be an advice channel. This is more of an informational or opinion channel. It's more of a commentary / shit talking channel sometimes. So it's okay to make commentary on different things. But to call decentering men radical and extreme while simultaneously not giving any examples of what's extreme, that sounds a little bit sketchy to me. That just sounds like good old-fashioned self-preservation. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.